Hey Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today on Alpha Commission, of course, we're going to go over that sideways action on the Bitcoin chart. Guys, you can see that it is just a mixed day in altcoins, and if we just jump straight to the charts, we can see that on Bitcoin we do have that just sideways kind of slow step upwards, but also still nothing really conclusive in terms of a pump going on here. If we do just turn on the levels that we had yesterday, you can see that we did do that stair stepping that I was suggesting was likely, where we did have the first step, and then should we be able to capture that general continuation and the alpha momentum pool over here, that we did have a likelihood of pumping up to that neutral point of control, and then seeing if we can put in another step. Now, as we are reapproaching the Bollinger Band midline here, this could be a good area for another pop-up, and losing that, we could just backtrack on our progress. So this is a nice little point to be pointing out the 1 hour and also for an update. So here's the updated levels for the hourly. As you can see, our momentum pool is still incredibly narrow. And you just saw that we were below the volatility pivot and we were below the pool. And so what happened, you had a tradable setup to the downside there, okay? And currently we are about to smash our head into the Bollinger Band midline on the 1 hour. And there you saw live a reaction off of that Bollinger Band midline. So guys, am I messing with you when I suggest that the volatility pivot is important, that the momentum pool is important, and that this Bollinger Band midline is important? Absolutely not. This is a tradable system. Should you have the cojones to be able to do it, you can see that we did cross right here. There's that wick on this candle right here. We crossed it to the downside. That's the tradable entry below the volatility pivot, re-entering the pool. That's the tradable entry, and you can see that it did just continue down where it's meeting resistance at that neutral point of control at that Bollinger Band midline. And so now we have the opportunity to hold this area and maybe do a a momentum shift. And should we re-enter the pool on a shift in the next couple candles, then that would be another re-entry moment, and we could potentially take this to the upside and maybe even retest that volatility pivot at 30,625. Now the bottom of that pool is currently residing at 30,576, and if we get above 30,583, that'll just add some additional momentum to us. Should we not be able to do that, then we could continue to push towards this neutral point of control at 30,534. Guys, we don't really capture that volatility pivot until 30,625. So I can't be over bullish on this chart until we take out, these candle body highs up here, and then we don't really enter the bullish control zone until we take out the wicks at 30,645 on the RSI as currently set up. That suggests a little bit of an orientation to the downside right now under the volatility pivot, under the pool, but we still are supported by the Bollinger Band midline, and we're supported by the neutral point of control. So it's basically like 2 versus 2 right now. No man's land on the 1 hour, and that's why I think after a little bit of a shakeout here, there is a good chance that we could get a bounce and maybe put in that next step to the upside. Of course, getting embedded underneath there, then that would just reverse it all. All right, guys, so that's it for the 1 hour in terms of your trade setups. If we go ahead and jump over to the previous 6 hour, we can see here that we did have that momentum shift right here. Then we recaptured the volatility pivot, re-entered the pool, got above that Bollinger Band midline, so bullish, 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 and then we just took that trade to the north there. Currently, we have not been stopped out. We're coming back down to the Bollinger Band midline, which is somewhere around 30,500, could be a little bit higher than that, and should we hold that area, this trade on the 6-hour from yesterday could continue up to 30,708, 30,732. Now this chart is getting a little bit long in the tooth in that it is now expired, or at least I have an update for you. So let's go ahead and get rid of those markings. And let's throw on the new 6-hour. And the new 6-hour, pretty similar to the old 6-hour, except it's kind of like just the other half, right, that we haven't like really traversed yet. And you can see that we are currently underneath the momentum pool there, but we are above the volatility pivot. So again, just on the 6-hour chart, no man's land. We are supported by the neutral point of control, the volatility pivot, the Bollinger Band midline, but we are missing the pool, and we are also missing the general continuation on the MACD, which I don't really pay attention to the MACD so much. I don't like the MACD personally, but a lot of guys use it as one of their primary tools. It's just one of those things that are very late, okay, and sometimes it misses something. This system here is primarily based upon the RSI and the Stochn RSI, and so it should give you a little bit of a faster response there. Should we re-enter the pool as we're doing right now, somewhere above 30,587, and just kind of get embedded up there, it'd be worth the risk to try to take it to the upside, because we do have a little bit of a pullback and then a momentum shift, and that could bring us all the way to 30,625, and flipping that, maybe 30,678, and then flipping that maybe the bullish control zone at 30,931. If we are to retest the Bollinger Band midline, there's a chance we could fall through it to the volatility pivot at 30,456, and losing that, we could come all the way back down to test our lows here, take out some liquidity, I guess, at 30,334, and losing that, then we get into some type of a risky area where we could fall all the way back down into the 29,000s. Right now, I'm not looking in either of those directions in particular. I do think that we have more of a chance of continuing this slow climb to the upside, but it's just very hard to say. I think the market is a little bit neutral right now, so just going sideways in this kind of wedge thing that we got here, and then you see the middle structure right through there. So we just don't have any, really hard edge going on here. Okay, so just pay attention to the key levels, that's all. I think the daily is going to give us a better perspective, just because it's a bigger time frame, and we can very clearly see what's going on the daily. And here we can see a sizable momentum pool, and we can also see that we did pump off of yesterday's momentum pool. So this was yesterday's, okay, and we did get embedded on top there. You can see well above the Bollinger Band midline. Once we get a little bit too far, we do have a check back. That could have been what this flash wick was about. Okay, then we just bounced back up, suggesting some bullishness. We did take out the momentum pool, so that was very bullish. And now we're just attempting to take out yesterday's volatility pivot, which was at 30,588. And since we're at 30,593, if we close up here, then by yesterday's standard, we're doing pretty good, okay? And this thing could continue to pump. Now, we might negotiate this level a bit, but you can see that that's still overall bullishly, developing on the daily over here. Let's give you a bit of an update because those are not really expired, but they are there's something fresher that we could look at, which is, of course, this hold momentum level at 30,587. We do need to just hold that level, and then we could potentially pump up to 30,763, maybe 30,790, where if we did flip that, I would become very bullish. But underneath there, just our volatility has a little bit of a bias to the downside. This structure could still end up turning down. And so, yeah, we're going to be looking to see when do we really firmly capture the volatility pivot on the day. And it's just slipping away from us right now. But we are holding on to the pool. So again, just it's kind of like a no man's land. Can't really be bearish, can't really be bullish. Overall, we can be bullish, but just what's going to play out today and tomorrow, nobody knows. Okay, nobody knows. Now, if we do re-enter this pool, and again, the first candle can always be a fake out, but should we re-enter this pool over time, then I would expect us to check back to 30,331, where we might have another chance to just break out of it and come back in and maybe do this thing again, maybe put in a little bit of a kind of head and shoulders structure there and then pump up. Could be what's going on. But let's actually jump down to the 12-hour. See if we can see any of that. Let's go to the 6-hour. Yeah, I mean, you can see the distinct possibility of ultimately putting in a kind of a head and shoulders here, which would then have a measured move. That could take us up to this $32,000 area and just keep us going. But again, in order to secure that, we are going to have to breach the volatility pivot at 30,790. So not only do we have, obviously the alpha momentum system going on here, but we also have this pattern, which does give us, some hope that, that this could play out to the upside. However, if we do end up losing this shoulder, then that measured move could work out to the downside, which it's interesting that we've actually already flash wicked to the downside there. But yeah, the measured move would be to the downside, and that could get us just a retest of this neutral point of control. Not really sure what that would be doing for the chart. Maybe we do have some type of, broadening kind of wedge type structure here. But again, should we break out of that to the upside, then there are measured moves similar to this head and shoulders. So yeah, right now I'm personally I'm leaning bullish. Okay, I'm leaning bullish, but we just have to really flip that volatility pivot, and then I'm gonna feel a lot more secure about this chart. Otherwise, we're just going sideways. So this could, this could be more sideways for a week, and let's see what we might be trying to catch up with. Let's see, our 1-hour volatility is extremely low. So on the 1-hour, there's a good chance that we could just explode either to the upside or to the downside. So both these measured moves do make sense in the sense that we could have a big move incoming. And then on the 6-hour, it's not the best. And we also have this bearish signal here, which isn't great. I would like to tap some lows on these momentum oscillators before we have a pump, but rarely do we put in another negative signal after it, and that would be actually extremely bullish if we did. So we are holding the midline here. And if this volatility maxes out, or if it starts turning upwards, it's really hard for me to be super bearish, even though we have this kind of God signal to the downside. But yeah, again, over 30,790, I'll be biased to the upside. Let's go ahead and take a look at the day. And the daily, it's continuation right now. Continuation is the name of the game for volatility. And should we end up just putting in this type of a structure on volatility, then that would suggest we could just chop sideways a bit, and then we have that move either up or down where we can measure it. And time in this case would be our friend, because what we can see is that we did kind of max out here. We are having this pullback, and should we be able to kind of max out on volatility at the same time that we're ending this move to the downside, then that would suggest an explosive move to the upside could be possible. So I will be looking forward to this move if we don't lose this yellow band here, and if we're able to just hold our lows. I think things are still looking pretty good, guys. Things are still looking pretty good. Let's see here. The weekly is going to close tomorrow, so do we see anything? Yeah, we see super low volatility on the weekly as well. And should that start turning back up? Well, this is bullishly postured. Looks like we're doing pretty good on the Stochk RSI. And yeah, we could get another thrust to the upside. So I would think that we could retest our highs, or perhaps even go into that 32 to 33, maybe even 35, who knows, territory, should we be able to get that explosive move to the upside. And we will be able to do that as long as we hold where we are. It's just if we sink any lower, we are going to be in danger of losing that on the weekly. Let's see if I had a weekly plotted out here. Let's get rid of the daily. Yeah, the volatility pivot was in the same spot. So yeah, over 29,500, I am pretty bullish. And as long as we're over 30,000, I'm just gonna stay bullish. So yeah, I mean, really hard to be too negative on this chart right now. We are getting a very nice set of pushes, and while everyone wants to say that the stock market and everything's going to collapse, I just don't see any evidence of it. And we've been pushing to the upside for quite some time now. Ever since we bottomed there, nice little double bottom at 15,500, just really doing the grind. Okay, doing the grind. And this structure here almost looks like this kind of a structure. Like this kind of a structure right here. So yeah, I mean, maybe we get another pop-up and then we start doing a bigger plateau for a longer period of time with maybe, some deeper pullbacks ahead of us before maybe another pump, or maybe the rally's over at that point, and then we have to do a greater consolidation before the next bull run. But yeah, I'm still going to be biased to the upside, guys, and I see us consolidating at resistance, and I think, well, give it enough time and we're going to break through there, assuming that assuming that something like this just doesn't randomly happen in the next couple days. I'm going to expect it to go to the upside. So where do I turn really bearish on this one? I guess it's going to be where that wick was, because we found support there. We had bearish news and we found support there. So underneath 29,400, yeah, I guess we could have more downside, but above that, looks like it's just getting bought up. So even another dip, if it's a higher low, it's just going to be more bullishness to me. I think I'd also like to not take out this head over here at 29,000. Let's just call it 900-ish, 29,800-ish. I think I'd like to hold on to that area, because maybe this was just a flash wick to the downside. And this price action is kind of like the higher low. And so then we've got this kind of accumulation wedge going on here. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Guys, I think I'm just going to leave it there. That's your alpha for the day. Stay safe and happy trading.